Guys, 89 Model NG 3 litre V6. New engine's running sweet as. Now, a couple of you guys have got a one of these and having a few problems. Now, when you set your timing, there's a lead just here, this one. See that? Okay, you take that off. Underneath, there's a white wire going into it. You can see a pin there. Earth that pin out. Something like this. Alright, just put on there. Now, I'm saying Gen 1s are different from Gen 2, so this is where it is on this side. Okay, and just up there, there's an earth. That's enough. Once you've done that, start him up. Use your timing light and set your timing. I've set this one about 6 degrees. It seems to run sweet since it's a work motor. And then once you've got your timing reasonably right, double check your timing and then check your idle. Now, this is a refurbished 3.5 throttle body that I've done of a Magna with a 65mm bore. Black rubber cap normally on there goes missing, so you'll find that there with a hole in it there's a air bleed screw to set your idle speed. Right, one of these works great. You can just get in there, find the slot, and away you go and adjust him wherever you need. Once you've got that, cap's good to keep it up from corroding. Early ones are metal and they end up seizing up in there, so if you have high idle or something like that after you've done a bit of work, then you need to get that sorted. But there's no point trying to do your idle or your timing without earthing that wire, because the computer will try and reset it all the time. So earth that, set the idle at 750 RPM, set your timing at 5 degrees, which is factory, give or take a couple. This one seems to like it at 6 degrees. My other one, my Gen 2 3 litre, seems to like it at 8 degrees. But yeah, and it'll just, that's how it is, as simple as that. Once your baseline is set, both idle and timing, and you know that's spot on, turn your engine off, remove the earth, put your plug back in so you don't get it full of crap. Right, pop him back on there, pick him up, and he just sits down in there. That's where he is. Once you've done that, start him up and let it go through its cycle. And after a couple of stops and starts, the computer will actually have set itself to where it needs to be. You'll probably find that after you've had the earth on there and set everything, that the idle will be high, but it will come down once the computer figures out where it has to be and sets the idle back at 750. Okay. You may, depending on if you've had a bit of work like I've done, I've got 60 thou oversized pistons and polished and ported cylinder heads, new cylinder heads and all that, and the plenum itself has been opened up as well quite a ways inside, so it breathes a lot better. You may be out of the factory specifications, but on a factory motor you shouldn't have any issues with it. Nothing else I can tell you about the timing and that. I mean, if you find once it's earthed, the lead's earthed, you've set your idle to 750, you've got your timing spot on 5 degrees before top dead center, and the motor is running as smooth as, and it's all settled in, but when you turn it off and take the earth lead off and then put it back on again, if it starts fluctuating, carrying on, that means that you have either a dodgy airflow meter. Right, this one here is probably dodgy, and dodgy ECU sensor, which is a temp sensor, which is this front one, 2-pin one down here in the front. All right, that could be dodgy. So check the ohms on that, whether it's when it's cold and when it's hot. Alright, I'll put a new one in this, so it should be spot on. It's not likely to be the idle speed controller. Okay, yes, the computer uses that to set the idle speed, but with your baseline set at that when it's earthed, you've actually bypassed all these three sensors, alright? And the idle speed control, they've all been bypassed once you've earthed it out and the computer says no, it's not there. Okay, so if you've done that, also make sure that your throttle positioning sensor is actually over the back there, set correctly. Good manuals tell you how to do it properly. If it's not set properly and someone's had to play with it, set them back to where they're supposed to be, otherwise your baseline's going to be way out of whack. So do that and then go from there, guys. Like I said, if it's perfect with the lead earthed and it's not with it off, then you've got a crook sensor somewhere. Most cases, fluctuating idle speed, fluctuating idle is usually a coolant temp sensor that's gone bung, or it's caked up and it's not working properly, because that there is telling the ECU what temperature it is, and it's saying, okay, I need to be richer, I need to be less. The idle speed controller in most cases, right, because your baseline of idle speed has already been set, your standard baseline idle speed, that's like when you come to the lights and you take your foot off the throttle and then the idle comes down slowly. That's what that's doing. So the thing doesn't stall. It's like a dash pot in an old carby. Okay, it brings the idle down slowly so it doesn't stall things, particularly when you're changing through gears and you know, coming to lights and coming to a stop, so it doesn't stall. If it's stalling at lights and carrying on, you've got to crook one of those. If you disconnect that plug there from your airflow meter and everything goes back to normal, you've usually got a dodgy airflow sensor, particularly in these older models. So guys, hope that helps diagnose some of your problems. Happy trails.